A few years ago, Bonava, Bonava firm started using BIM 360 team technology. Autodesk implemented a new platform which is called BIM 360 Docs, or Document Management System, and it decided to transfer to a new technology. And the progress behind, the challenges behind, and the success will be highlighted by our colleague Tuomas Jalava. Please, Tuomas, I would like to welcome you to this stage. Project manager, Sofigate, hired by Bonava to manage projects when this transfer was happening, and we will provide you with our presentation today. Please take the mic. I'll switch to English for Tuomas to understand that.
I will tell you a little story. Probably you've heard about it. Some decades ago, one scientific magazine decided to do a research and to find out what the most efficient species in the world. Do you know who won? The first place was taken by condor. Do you know where a human being was? Somewhere down in the list. But one scientist was smart enough to do the same research, but this time putting human being on a bicycle. And in this time, human being just blew away the condor and took the first place. What does it mean? It means that we are tool makers. So we make tools to make us more efficient. And one day, Bonava understood that they wanted to have their own bicycle to make themselves more efficient. So Tuomas, now continue the story, please.
Thank you, Pavel. Yes, thank you, Pavel. I'll continue the story by maybe making you think about the day you got your first bicycle as a child. It's a strong feeling, and usually you have a strong memory about that. And if you don't remember the day you got the bicycle, you might remember the first time you learned how to ride the bike. And then, after you learn how to ride the bike as a child, you get more ambitious. You want maybe a motorcycle, maybe a car, or maybe something even bigger like a plane. We're going to tell a story about how Bonava, in one case, is trying to build this plane or helicopter, and also how we are teaching people how to ride the bike. The thing with software and technology projects is that it's not enough for yourself to learn how to ride the bike. You need to teach maybe 10, maybe 100, maybe 1,000 people how to ride the bike in the way that it is intended to be done. And then it's time to move forward to that and start thinking bigger. So we will tell you about, in a specific case, how Bonava moved from Autodesk BIM 360 team to BIM 360 Docs, and how we got forward with that project. Good. So let's quickly take a look at who we are at Bonava. Leading residential developer in Northern Europe, biggest one in Germany, actually. Around 2,000 employees and 1.5 billion euros in net sales last year. And here you can see our biggest markets. We are based in Sweden. Bonava has a history in NCC, which you might of course recognize as a company. Operations in the Nordic countries, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, also the Baltics, and then, of course, here in St. Petersburg and Germany as well. A couple of the projects that Bonava has done. The one on the top is a project in Stockholm, and the other one you might actually recognize from here in St. Petersburg. So that is a place probably many of you might drive past, maybe even every day. Good. So Bonava started their VDC journey in April 2016. And I've been helping Bonava do that from a company called Sofigate as an IT consultant now for about a year. And it's been quite an amazing journey. Been extremely interesting to be a part of the VDC that Bonava is now driving inside the company. So when we think about document management in a construction company, we have to make a separation between digitalization and digitizing. So driving a digital transformation is not about digitizing. It's not about moving from paper to iPads or computers. It's not just about that. It's of course about driving the entire digital process and building your processes around it. And that's what is the real challenge, and that's when you need to learn even more and more people to ride the bicycle. So the core of the VDC at Bonava is the reuse of information in different stages of a construction project. And that's what makes it special. So at Bonava, the process is designed in a way that the information from the model all the way from design start is reused in different phases. It's used from design to production and then all the way to the marketing and the end user, which of course is the customer who we do this work for. And then in the core of that, we of course have the document management system. And as you saw, 8 different countries. So it's difficult to find a common platform for all of those countries to work in. And that's what we have tried to do at Bonava. Already 2016, Bonava moved to a very modern cloud platform. So that's something that Bonava has been kind of a forerunner in, having cloud platforms for as much as they can, basically, also for document management. But still, with document management at first, it was maybe a little bit more like walking a bike instead of riding it. So what we did now about a year ago is when we decided to move from Autodesk BIM 360 Docs, from Team, to BIM 360 Docs, we asked some of the users in multiple countries, how do you use the document management today and how you would like to see it improved. So then, in order to start riding the bike, we thought about how we can use automation, how we can take some steps away from the project managers in managing their projects and automate it instead to make document management more efficient, but also how to get more information out of the model in the process. So this is what it looks like. This is the document management system at Bonava. We call it Bonava Projects. So in practice, it consists of 2 main parts. We have the SharePoint Online, which is for managing your documents, all sorts of project planning, Words, PowerPoints, and so on. And of course, it's a very powerful platform for working with Office files in real time, co-editing with the project team, and it's hugely good for that. And also we have modified it quite a lot for Bonava's purposes. Second part is now the Autodesk BIM 360 docs, where we migrated the Bonava countries to, and are still in the process of doing that for the last countries. And that is, of course, very powerful for handling the model and also starting to build different processes around it in different parts of the construction process. Third part that we have now integrated in the platform quite deeply to make it easy to also drive collaboration in a project. So that's Microsoft Teams. What we have done now is we have added Microsoft Teams into the platform so that you can also manage your project team from the same place and decide who gets to collaborate in your team. So it's a place for communication for the project team, and that's something that is now starting to implement in the countries. But the integration is there, so we have already done it. And the glue that ties all this together are the APIs. So I don't know if all of you have worked with APIs in your work, but basically it's a way of putting in data into the system and pulling it out in a way to create integrations and build automated processes around the software. So this platform is meant for having a single source of truth, so that every function in the company always goes to the same place to use the documents. You don't have anything stored on your local hard drives or emails. You can always, or you should always be able to trust that the latest documentation, latest models are in the same place every time, and you can check the latest situation from there. Here's what it looks like in practice. Maybe not the most beautiful photo of our SharePoint part, but it's now showing the document management. So this is where we have a lot of the project documentation, and you can also see the link that goes to BIM 360. And then here is the BIM 360 docs part. So a powerful platform for not only storing the model, but also using it in a lot of parts of a project. So the idea here is to, with the VDC process, save time, of course, increase coordination, increase quality, and then enable learning in each step of the project. So for that to happen, we needed to think about how to help the users use the document management system a little bit more effectively. So we needed to connect them together when we moved from team to docs. A common complaint we had from the users is that the two parts felt disconnected. We had the SharePoint and then we had the Autodesk BIM 360, because both of them had very powerful features that Bonava wanted to take a use of. So we needed to automate. So we wanted to link them together. We wanted to save time from the project manager. We are trying to save time from the IT in setting up the projects. And also, we want a single UI to manage your project team members. So you always manage your project team from the SharePoint part, where you have some Bonava custom permission groups that you use. And you can also select who gets access to your Microsoft team to also do communication in a project. A third big driver that we had was to increase openness. So that's one value with Bonava, to have openness, especially inside the business unit. So we wanted to have a way of everybody being able to access the model. There's some roles that might need to see the model in many different projects, and we wanted to make it easy for them to do. And then, of course, also getting on the plane, so just to kind of show one example of how the model data is then used later on. So these are now some visualizations that are done at Bonava, and they are basically automated from Revit. No special steps taken in sending drawings out to any special companies. Bonava actually get these drawings from Revit, and this is one of the next steps that we get from the VDC platform that Bonava is using. But of course here we are not alone. So in some parts Bonava needs help, and we needed help in our project also to make this a reality, to build the vision into a reality. So we got in contact with PSS, who then did some work for us to make this a reality.
Thank you, Tuomas. So I will continue. So what did we actually do there with Bonava? So imagine you have different systems, like I know SharePoint, BIM 360, and probably you're asking us, why there are so many systems? Why couldn't Bonava just drop one of them and use BIM 360 for all of the tasks? So the answer is pretty easy, because every system has its own limitations. So the only way to avoid that limitations is to integrate. So, and that's what we did. We integrated different parts of the final solution. So, we have financial system, we have SharePoint, and we have BIM 360. And Bonava doesn't want every employee to do different manual actions. If you have something in one system, so you just can take it out and put it in another system. Different data, without, taping all the time. So we were responsible for integration between SharePoint and BIM 360. So, and what we got is this. So, on the screen, you see all the projects of Bonava. And they didn't turn up there manually. They turned up there automatically from first financial system, then SharePoint, and then in BIM 360. That's one thing. Another one, if you open a project, you see immediately a folder structure there. It didn't turn up there manually. It turned up there automatically. And finally, I would say, if you will, the last but not the least, so about access to a particular project. So Bonava doesn't manage users manually in BIM 360. So they have only one point to manage users in all their systems. So an access to a particular project, again, turns up there automatically. That's what we did. And this project, it was, I would say, quite something. BIM 360, it's not that easy to code in. BIM 360 has some limitations, but we did go through all of this stuff to make it happen. Tuomas?
Good. Thank you. Yes, I didn't even touch anything, but apparently it goes off every once in a while. Good. So that was the technical part in the change. And now what we are doing is, of course, we are also learning the people how to ride the bike. And it has been going on since last autumn. This picture is from Fürstenwalde, near Berlin in Germany, where Bonava has their German headquarters. And this is from a pilot project training situation that we had there end of the summer last year. So what we have now done in almost all of the Bonava countries is drive a similar classroom training and a lot of change processes around it in all the countries. And what we have also done is we have gathered a tightly knit core team in each country to then drive the change together with our change experts that we have at Bonava. So the idea has been to understand the way the countries work and then bring it into a more unified process across the countries so that we actually have a common platform for 8 countries to work with their documentation. So it has been quite a big journey and an interesting journey to train so many people, because when you look at document management and we started to look at the roles who use it in a company, it's a lot of people. It's almost all the roles that you find in the HR system. Everybody uses the document management system and you want everybody trained. You want the design people, of course. You want them to learn how to integrate Revit conveniently to the system and how to work efficiently right through Revit into BIM 360. But then, of course, production, big part and huge amount of people with also subcontractors who need to have access to the system and who need to work there conveniently. So that has also been a challenge, how to reach everybody in production and make them work in the system. But that is really coming into being a reality, and we also had our super users to go into sites in some countries. Sometimes the sites are busy, they don't come into trainings, so we go to them, show them how the system works, also the subcontractors that are at the site, how to work in it, to get the vision into reality. So now we have almost all of the countries live, and actually very, very soon we will also have Germany working in the system, so trainings are starting very soon and we will have them live in the system, and soon we will have the common platform for all the countries. This is an example from our go live in Sweden, where we wanted to gather support for the projects for the time after the team to docs migration, to support the projects with the first day and get them up and running as quickly as possible after the migration so that they know exactly what to do in the system. And of course that was with the help of the local super users. They know how they work, and then we were there to give technical assistance and train the use of the system a little bit on a deeper level. But then, of course, like the little child who gets the bike, you're not always happy with the bike. So we are already moving into the air. We also want to be the condor. So I would say Bonava is building the helicopter at the moment. Maybe the helicopter is even done already, and then maybe we can have more questions and answers in the panel later. We have some people from Bonava here to answer. So we have Daria Trubina, who's a BIM manager here locally. Russia is very far in the VDC, and they have a lot they can probably share also in the panel if you have any questions. We have Elisabeth Flakierska, our processes and applications manager, an architect, who will also be there to answer questions. And then we have our applications manager, Yuri Nikitin, who is the owner of these systems. So maybe next year we can be here to let you know how Bonava built the space rocket instead of the helicopter.
Thank you, Tuomas.
Thank you.